Look at that. Look at that.
Look at this. Come on.
Look at that. We get the Hall of Fame.
Show me the money.
And the level of disrespect, Moicano didn't show up. Look at that.
God. I know. I'm sitting backstage listening to Impa, who's a very interesting guy, by the way. I could have
Very
listened to him all
interesting,
day. And I'm like, what? No offense, Matty. I'm sure you're a great guy, but I'm like, where the hell is goddamn Moicano? I haven't turned up for Matty Bates. I'm here for Moicano, for Gilbert Burns, for the legends. No, it's a pleasure to be here, boys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
sure. And I talked to Moicano. I said, hey, we got Bisping on, you gotta come. He said that way. I'm here, bro, but I'm not going. I need to relax because I think I'm fighting again, so I'm taking today off. Don't call me. And I said, okay.
Yeah, and then we see him on the Ariel Helwani show. The level
And
of
he went to
disrespect.
Ariel Helwani, bro.
The guy doesn't know. He's got no loyalty. He's got no loyalty. What is he doing? Nah, man.
He went to Ariel Helwani. Bisping. He went to Ariel Helwani. He said, I'll talk to you.
Well, I've got nothing to say. You got to be careful. You can't give your opinions these days. People get offended very, very easily. You know what I mean? So, next question, please. Almost called you Moicano there. Gilbert, how you doing, buddy? How you resting up from your last fight?
I'm doing good, bro. I had a tough week out on that fight. I don't think I recovered the way I should. No excuse. Sean Brady showed up. I don't think it is what it is. I don't want to give no excuse. The guy showed up, did his thing. Now I'm recovering. Now I'm good. I have a little surgery to get done October 3rd. I have a little hernia, but it's that simple one that just it took 3 weeks. I'll be ready to get back to training. Looking forward to get another fight, maybe January or February.
Oh, bro, the injuries. I'm still dealing with them. As I sit here, I'm in agonizing neck pain, but nothing's more painful. Whoever's
The knee, right?
On my Wikipedia, no, my neck. The Wikipedia, go back. Whoever's running this, is that you, Matty? That's scrolling through.
That's our
Whoever's
producer.
Click on the Wikipedia. Look at this image. This is the most painful thing in my life. I don't know how to change this picture. If anyone can change my weight, look at that shit. Look at that. That's like anytime anyone Googles me, that's the picture that comes up. Do you know what I mean? It's not complimentary. If anyone can change it, please, I'll give you $100.
You look older at that picture. You look older.
I look like a Victorian gymnast week. I look like I'm covered in dirt and dust and shit. It's yeah. It's not the picture you want to pop up anytime anybody Googles you.
But how's your knees? You had surgery on both knees. You have surgery on the hips. How's everything now?
Dude, I've had about, I don't know, I'd say about 30 surgeries these days. I'm just recovering. I got a disc replacement in my neck 6 weeks ago. Didn't work. I'm still in absolute agony. Regarding the knees, I had 2 total knee replacements. My left knee, I had about 10 surgeries on it. And then eventually they said, we got to replace it. And it's the best thing I ever did, actually, to be honest, because I was living in so much pain. And then I started having problems with my other knee. So they said, let's just replace that one. So I got 2 total knee replacements. And I'll be honest, I run every day. I work out every day. It doesn't affect me. I live my life. The main thing for me lately has been the neck. My neck is just driving me crazy. But still, it's boring as fuck. No one wants to hear someone sit here and go on about their agonizing neck pain. But this is the world that we live in, buddy.
But you did the hip surgery as well, or no? Just both knees?
No, I actually have a torn labrum right now. I have a torn groin. I have a deviated septum in my nose. I've got about 4 other surgeries that I need to have. I've never had hip surgery, though. Not yet. Okay. But as I say, I got to get the labrum taken care of. But it is what it is. We truck on, I lived a great life. I had an amazing career. I opened up a lot of doors. Yeah. Am I in pain 24/7, 365? 100%. But I wouldn't change a goddamn thing. I love my life. I love my family. I'm very grateful for all the opportunities that I had. And I do the commentating, Contender, Power Slap. I do the YouTube channel. I got the podcast. But I got a lot of other things going on as well. I still do a little bit of acting here and there. Got a couple of movies coming out soon. Den of Thieves 2, nice. Red Sonja. Hopefully got my first lead role coming up soon. And then we got the UFC gym and stuff. So I stay busy. I like to stay busy, but it's crazy because I'll be busy as hell. and complaining about how busy I am. And then I'll have nothing on for a week and I'm fine.
And you
My life is
complaining.
falling apart. What's going on? I've got nothing to do. So, yeah, I'm a bit all over the place.
But
Your
you do have
YouTube-
a. Yeah, go
I was
ahead.
gonna,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say your YouTube channel is extremely impressive. Like, what's been the key to like building such a good following there? Is it a team behind you, the consistency? Because you have a great channel.
Oh, thank you very much. You know, it's funny because I started messing around with YouTube in like 2004 or 5 when I first started fighting. And I wish I stuck with it because you know what I mean? I'd have a massive channel now, but I forgot all about it. And then I think it was about 3 years ago, I had a deal with a betting company and I had to do a breakdown for a fight and a prediction. And I did it and I watched it back on Instagram and I thought, that was pretty good. So I thought, I wonder if I can still remember my login to my YouTube. And I'll share it on there as well because, you know, I was quietly impressed with my analysis. And I tried it and I remembered the login first time and I put the video up because I didn't even know you could make money off YouTube. And I forgot all about it. And I went back about 4 or 5 days later and it had like 120,000 views and lots of nice comments. So I thought, oh, I'll do another one. So I did another one. And then I got an email about monetizing the channel. I'm like, what the hell? Because this is what a boomer I am. I didn't realize you can make money off. You know what I mean? So then, yeah, I monetized the channel. I started doing some videos and then some decent little checks started coming in. And like, I'm busy as hell doing the commentary. I travel a lot and all the other things that I mentioned. But then also you have a little bit of downtime, you know, and you can find 10, 15 minutes a day to sit here like I am doing now and just give my opinions, break down some fights, make some predictions and stuff like that. So it's just a nice way to, you know, stay busy, be involved, use my skills, you know, because, you know, other than being a coach, there's not much else you can do with it, you know. So, yeah, it's just it's a little sideline. I enjoy it, though. It's fun.
But you never want to be a coach, too, right? You don't look
I
like
do
a coach. You do?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely, I do. And I'm looking forward to that time in my life. But as you know, Gilbert, if you're going to be a coach, you got to be selfless. You know what I mean? You got to dedicate yourself to those people, because I know what it's like when you're going through it. You're dedicating your entire life to this mission of being a fighter. And right now, I don't have the time. Right now, my priority is still my wife and my children and giving them the best life possible. You know, so coaching is a passion and something that I want to do because I feel I've got a lot of experience that I can hand down to next generations and take some fighters under my wing and mentor them and try and help them along the path. But as I say, it's just not the right time yet. When I'm in my 50s, maybe, you know, I'll get into that. But right now, I'm too busy. I've got too many opportunities. And as they say, make hay while the sun shines. Right now, the sun's shining, so I'm making hay. But one day when everything slows down, people get sick of me. No one gives a fuck about me anymore. Then I'll open a little gym, and you'll see me in the corners.
In California, but you don't go back to UK too. You're gonna keep living in California, right?
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do. We've been in California for 13 years. Obviously, I signed with the UFC in 2005. So I did my first 6 years of my UFC career living in the UK. But I had a lot of trouble with the team that I was with at the time. You know, in the UK, it was kind of like the Wild West. There was a lot of shady characters involved, a lot of gangsters and stuff like that. And there was money going missing. It's a long story. Anyway, it turns out I left the camp. I left the team. I had no manager. I had no coaches. I had no trainer. And I'd just been picked to coach the Ultimate Fighter. So I had some contacts in California, some friends that I trained with in the past. So I roped some of them in to be my assistant coaches on the Ultimate Fighter. I had a great time out there. And I said, screw it. I've got no team right now. And back then in the UK, MMA wasn't what it is today. And I had a fight to train for coming up, you know, that against Jason Miller when I coached the Ultimate Fighter against. So I went out to California with my wife. I said, right, screw it. We'll just book a ticket. And guess what? Tickets go both ways. Planes go both ways. We'll give it a try, see how it works out, because I've got a training camp. I've got a fight to train for. We went out there. That was the 5th of August, 2011. And here we are 13 years later. We never planned on staying here the whole time. In fact, we didn't even sell the house or anything. We left everything. We just booked a ticket that day because I was like, if we don't do it, we're never going to do it. We're just going to talk about it. So I said, screw it. Let's book a flight right now. So we booked a flight. 4 days later, we're on a plane to America. I left all my stuff in the house, all the furniture, all the clothes, everything. Before I left, I went round, you know, Post-it notes, those sticky things.
Yeah.
I went round with everything in the house. Keep, and put like a Post-it note on all the stuff to keep, throw away for all the shit that we didn't want. And my dad organized everything getting sent out to California. He sent everything that we wanted to throw away.
The
and
opposite.
threw away all the stuff that we wanted to fucking keep. So like we unboxed it all excited. We're like, what is this shit? Oh dear. So yeah, I mean, we're in California now, but who knows where the world or my life will take me next.
Nice. You still there with Coach Perillo, still all training with these guys, or you don't do much fighting training? You do more like lifting, running.
Yeah. I want to get back in the gym. I want to start doing jiu-jitsu again because I love it and I miss it.
I want to see you. I thought I was gonna see you at the UFC Fight Pass invitation doing a little grappling.
Oh yeah, no, I was thinking about that, but then my neck for the last 18 months, I've been going through hell with my neck. The pain is just, it's next level, man. And I've had a bunch of surgeries and procedures done. As I said, 6 weeks ago, I got a disc replacement. That didn't work. Now they're saying, because I had a fusion in 2019, there's the thing that the fusion has failed. So they're going to have to reopen and slice my neck open again. They're going to have to drill out all the bones around the fusion, take the metal plate out, replace that with a disc. So it's a very, very complicated, invasive surgery that's like, you know, it's not done very often, but that's kind of what they're saying that I need to have done. So as I say, doing jiu-jitsu and sparring and shit like that, I haven't done that for quite some time. It's not that I don't want to. I want to, but once I get this neck sorted, I can't right now. It's too painful.
But if you can, what do you do with the UFC Fight Pass invitation whenever you get healthy again?
I'll grapple your fucking head off, Gilbert. I've still got it. kids.
For sure you do.
No. I still love it, man, and I miss it. So I used to go down the gym, not as much as obviously when I was training. You know, with the UFC stuff, there's a lot of travel involved. As I say, I'm very, very grateful for the opportunities. You know, I'm living the dream for a retired fighter, to be quite honest. So I'm so grateful for everything. But yeah, I mean, I do miss the competitive urge. Like I had a guy just recently trying to book me in a boxing fight. In Poland or somewhere, and he's like, "We'll give you a lot of money, and we'll just put you against some influencer or something." I'm like, "Bro, my neck," and he just wasn't listening. And I'm like, "Dude, I'm having neck surgery." He goes, "Okay, well, how about we circle back in 3 weeks?" I'm like, "Dude, you're not listening to me. I need neck surgery. I ain't fighting on some shitty promotion out in Poland. I get some juiced up Nazi." You know what I mean?
And can you, like, let's pretend you were healthy. Can you, or you still have a contract with UFC? You have to ask to do those type of fights, or no?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm probably under contract. Yeah. So I'm probably under contract. As I said, I'm done fighting anyway. Those days have left. I'm a different person these days. I really am. It's weird because it took a while for that. You know, like I was a crazy guy when I was younger, but I have calmed down so much now.
A little bit.
Yeah, no, a little bit, of course. Like, for example, I mean, I've talked about it a lot, and so I apologize if anyone's heard this. Like, there's been 2 instances over the last couple of years where I got sucker punched. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
And I didn't beat the shit out of them. I could have done very, very easily.
I saw you posting about the guy that took the purse from your wife.
Oh, yeah, that was in Paris just now. A guy stole.
In Paris.
Again, there you go. I'm not the same. Because if I was the younger version of me, would have beat the shit out of him. But I've got nothing to prove these days. I'm not trying to prove that I'm tough. I'm not trying to make a scene. The guy stole the bag. I ran after him. I caught him. I got him by the throat. I waved my fist. He shit his pants. He dropped the bag. And then when he walked off, I kicked him up the ass. I gave him a good little kick. He would have had a sore ass the next day. But you know, there was kids around, there was families. It's a very touristy area. I don't need to expose them to that. And it's like, you know, I don't need to prove myself. People that want to go out there and beat people up because, you know, I'm not that guy anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. Push your luck. And he's still in there. But I'm an older guy now. I've finally matured a little bit.
because sometimes I see you after the fights when you're gonna interview the guys. I see sometimes you get a little. I can see like I remember the Brian battle when he fought Angelusa and the fight was a no contest because the eye poke, and then I see you there like I know you can see stuff. I know like the guy, and then you kind of get to the. You take the mic off and you're talking to Brian, but the camera got to you, and they say, "Oh, yeah." Sometimes you still wanna, sometimes
Yeah,
you
well,
still have that a little bit.
yeah, no, of course, of course. It never leaves you completely. I've only got one eye as well, remember, so I don't see what's going on this side too well. Yeah, I mean, listen, the life of being a fighter has been an amazing journey for me, and it's changed my life in so many ways. It really has, and I always say to people, if you feel that you've got what it takes. Because a lot of people ask me, like I did a live on my YouTube channel the other day, and people are like, I'm 26, I've done a little karate or whatever. Do you think it's too late? And I'm like, no, it's not too late. But you've got to be honest with yourself. Are you that guy? Are you a fighter? And only they know that, because a lot of people think they're tough or whatnot. But as you know, Gilbert, it's not about being tough.
No.
It's about having the discipline. It's about being willing to sacrifice and train and work hard and deal with the setbacks, which inevitably will come along, being mentally tough, So I have had an incredible journey. When I started mixed martial arts, nobody knew what it was in the UK. Nobody, it was, like my first ever fight, I did it for money. I got paid nothing. I got paid nothing. My coach told me all about something called UFC. I'd never heard of it. And then I looked at it. I said, is that not kind of dangerous? And he said, I'll never put you in a life-changing fight unless there's a life-changing check. And I was like, oh, I like the sound of life-changing checks. And then the first fight he got me in England there was nothing. But slowly but surely you work away, you build your way up, you get a little bit of a following. I did great in the UK. Made it to the UFC, won the Ultimate Fighter, and had a great career. And it has just changed me and enriched my life so much. So if anyone's out there, that's thinking about doing anything, you're only going to regret the things you didn't try and do. You know what I mean? Yeah. Try it, whatever it is, that business you want to start, that's whatever it is that you want to pursue in life, just go for it, man. Give it a try.
Yeah. And another thing that I want to ask you, Bisping, because since the beginning, since I start like hearing about you when you were fighting, you kind of get a little popularity was already big. And back then we didn't have the social media. Like nowadays, all these kids that they are on school with my kids, they know Sean O'Malley, they know Conor McGregor because of social media. But you were one of the fighters that you were already very popular, very big. Like you were very kind of famous in the US, famous in the UFC. And then when the social media came, you had a huge following. But how do you think they start with you?
Yeah. I mean, I was on season 3 of The Ultimate Fighter, and the Ultimate Fighter. I mean, it's still a great show, but back in the early days, it was a massive, massive television show. There was like 4 million people tuning into every episode. So I come from a small town in the north of England, and as you said, there's no social media back then, and so I went on The Ultimate Fighter. I won the Ultimate Fighter, and I come back to my small little town. There's no social media. People there treat me exactly the same. You know what I mean? They're not asked. Nobody watches UFC in that town anyway. So I'm just living my life as normal. And I had no idea that people had been watching. I had no idea that people knew who I was. And I remember I had my first fight in England, UFC 70. And I walked out there, and the crowd just went mental. And I was like,
that's what I meant. They already knew. But on your small fights, there were a lot of people on the beginning of your career because every time that you fought, especially in England, like sold out crazy, the whole arena, like even with no social media, with nothing, you were big. Like before the Ultimate Fighter, you were fighting those shows over there, those small shows.
Yeah. So I was the Cage Warriors champion. I was the Cage Rage champion. Right. Cage Rage was a good one back in the day. I had an exciting style back then. I mean, I finished everyone in the first round, and I was a loudmouth. I talked a lot of shit.
Crazy.
You know what I'm saying? I like, to me, talking shit when you're going to fight someone, it's just fun. It's fun. It's like, I'm going to fight this guy. We're going to throw down. There's never a better excuse to shit talk someone than someone you're actually going to fight. You know what I mean? So it's just fun and games. It was never you know,
Personal, yeah.
personal too much. Maybe a couple of times there was a couple of people we didn't like, but even then, it's just competitiveness. It's just because like with Luke Rockhold, we didn't like each other. I've got nothing against Luke. I'm sure he's a fantastic guy, but he beat me once. Do you know what I mean? So, and he dismissed me as a threat. So it's just competitive rivalness. You know, and like people always talk about George St. Pierre to me. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Bisping, but George is one of my favorites." I'm like, bro, George is one of my favorite human beings on planet Earth. George St. Pierre is like the nicest guy ever. Because like I remember when we were promoting that fight, that was my biggest payday. I'm getting a cut of the pay-per-view. So I'm gonna talk some shit. I'm gonna sell the fight. I like George, but it wasn't just shit talk. I wasn't lying. We're gonna fight. You know what I'm saying? I remember TMZ was coming over. And George was there. And when we had a little weigh-in, like he pushed me a little bit. And I saw TMZ coming. So I walked over, I get right in his face. I'm like, you fucking ever put your hands on me again? Yada, yada, yada. Because I knew TMZ was filming. Do you know what I'm saying? And then I saw George later on, and I'm having a piss. I'm in the toilets. I'm having a pee. And George walks in, and he's having a pee next to me. And we're talking about cars. We both had a Range Rover. And I'm like, yeah, they break down all the time and shit like that. And then when I finished my pee, I zipped my fly up. And I'm like, right, George, sorry, I'm going to have to go back to being a dickhead. And then I walked out the room, and then we're just back to promoting the fight. As I say, I kind of meant everything what I said at that moment in time, but nothing personal.
But you think so? You grow the way you grow. I think it was natural. You doing becoming a champion in the UK, and then with the Ultimate Fighter, and for sure the way you talk, your personality, then you blow up. The thing that was all of that together. You didn't plan that.
It's crazy because I'm so lucky with the career that I've had. You know, I went on the Ultimate. I mean, everything was perfect. I started doing MMA. I won all the regional titles in the UK: Cage Warriors, Cage Rage. There was a few others. I was the champion of them all. I went on the Ultimate Fighter. I won that. Massive exposure. You know, and you couldn't have planned it any better, to be honest. You know, so like I had an amazing start to my career. I'm so grateful for everything. But I remember I had two kids. I was working, no money whatsoever. You know, I'd work my ass off 60 hours a week, dead end job. And at the end of the week, just have no money left. You know what I mean? And the kids had no money, and my wife had nothing, and we wearing bad clothes and shit. You know what I mean? I left school at 16. I was like, is this it? Is this what all life's got to offer? And so I contacted my old jiu-jitsu coach. It was Japanese jiu-jitsu, not Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And he was the guy that told me all about the UFC. And he put this vision in my head. Because I wasn't sure about it. And he said, listen, Michael, the champions in the UFC, they become celebrities. They end up acting in movies, right? You're going to make loads of money. So he put this idea in my head. So I quit work, moved to another city, slept in my car, would train down there Monday to Friday, drive home at the weekend. I used to be a nightclub DJ, do a little bit of DJing at the weekend just to make a little bit of money. Then Monday I'd go back down and sleep in my car. But he always put that idea in my head. And it's like, the term that's popular nowadays is manifestation. You can say that maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but that was the idea that was put in my head. And it all came true, you know?
Nice.
I have a question for Bisping. So it's about judging in the UFC, right? And this is actually we put out a post earlier. Just so many people want us to ask this question, so I got to ask it. But there was 4 fights this past weekend that all were split decisions. It felt like there was 6 or 8 of them. Honestly, I had to ask my buddy. I was like, "How many fights actually ended by split decision this past weekend?" I think it was 4 total. What do you think about the state of judging today versus back in the day? Because it just seems like it's really scrutinized today. And it always blows my mind when one judge has like a 30-27 for one guy, and then another judge says a 29-28 for the opposite guy. Like, I know everyone's always going to have a slightly different opinion, but does it seem like it's gotten worse over time, or is it more just about the media and social media and how scrutinized it's been?
Yeah, no, great question. And thank you for asking, because now I don't have to sit here and talk about myself. Nobody wants to hear me going on about myself. Like, we know, Bisping, shut the hell up. Right, the judging. Something needs to be done about this, because it affects fighters' trajectory of their careers in such a big way. We all know how important it is to get the win or a loss, not only financially, but in terms of how you're going to go through the rankings, title fights, and all the rest of it. And I've suffered at those hands as well. Some of the judges that come out with these wild scorecards, they need to be held accountable. I don't understand why they're not made to sit down in a room with other judges and have to explain why they scored it that way. And if they can't come up with a very credible reason why they scored it that way, then they shouldn't be allowed to judge another UFC fight because the stakes are too high. However, I will say this. We had a seminar a couple of years ago that the Las Vegas Athletic Commission, Nevada State Athletic Commission put on for us. There was all the judges and the referees and stuff like that. And they did a seminar for us. And one of the exercises that they had us do was me, DC, Laura Sanko, Paul Felder, John Anik was there. We were all there. They had us judge a fight. And I think they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose to try and, because we always talk shit if the judge is bad, right? We watched a fight, and to be fair, it was one of the hardest fights that you could possibly judge. One guy would have really good success on the feet. The other guy was taking him down. It was so close. There was different narratives for the fight. Anyway, the point of the story is that at the end of it, we all had difference of opinions, because it was a really hard fight to score. One thing that I think people overlook as well when it comes to judging is that people don't understand. Like, for example, I said that Renato Moicano, when he fought Benoit Saint-Denis, I said that was a 10-7 round. And the first round. And it was a 10-7 round. If you look at the scoring criteria, because I've sat there and I've been lectured over a 5-hour period on this, a 10-10 round is when it's completely even, right? We know that. A 10-9 round, which is the most common one, a 10-9 round, because I've still got the paperwork that breaks it down. And there's a video about it on my YouTube channel. A 10-9 round is if it's completely even, but one guy maybe lands one extra kick. One guy just only just wins. That becomes a 10-9. If one guy clearly wins the round, that should be a 10-8. And if one guy beats the living shit out of somebody and almost finishes him, and it's one-way traffic, according to the criteria, that should be a 10-7 round. And I'll tell you why this is important. Because if you go out there and you lose your first 2 rounds, right, you get pushed up and held up against the fence, right? But not much is happening. They're holding you up against the fence. They're giving you a couple of knees against, in your thigh or whatever. They're just being annoying. They're controlling you, but it's boring everybody. But you've lost. You've lost those 2 rounds. You've still got the ability in round 3 to go and beat the shit out of them.
That's awesome.
And win that, because it's a 10-7 round and you're still the winner. And that's how it should be based on damage. So I think the judges, that is the criteria. And I think they are forgetting that a lot of times.
But they don't do the way, right? I never saw a 10-7 in a round.
That's insane. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense though.
Yeah.
Makes way more sense that way.
Yeah,
makes way more sense here.
Yeah, it does.
That's crazy.
Anyway.
And how do you feel about the rankings today? There's a lot of controversy, right? Dana comes out and says that the media members have no idea how they're, how they're ranking fighters, and it's like, for example, our guy Money Moicano goes to Paris. He beats a guy that's one spot below him, right? So I think that's the argument when people talk about why he didn't move up. But we all know that if Benoit Saint-Denis would have 10-8 or 10-7 Moicano in round 1, there's a chance he jumps up 3, 4, 5 spots, right? So what is your opinion on the rankings today? Do you believe that it should be done differently? Dana's talked about AI, different things like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, some of the rankings sometimes just get a little bit crazy. I will say this, as much as I love Renato Moicano, and I'm a big fan of the guy. I love the way he fights. I love his personality. He's the best. But he fought a guy below him.
Yeah,
he fought a guy below him. So it's hard for him to progress higher in the rankings when you're fighting somebody lower than you, even though I think he deserves to be higher. But when you look at the rankings, I'm looking at it right now. So Moicano's 11, Benoit Saint-Denis 12. Fiziev 11, Gamrot, Holloway's there. Benil Dariush. I mean, it's just tough. I don't understand. I mean, I understand why he didn't necessarily go higher with that one.
Yeah.
But some of the other ones, like Khalil Rountree, I think that was the one that Dana was talking about yesterday.
Right.
Where is he right now? He is still ranked number 8. He just pushed Pereira harder than anyone else. Took him 4 rounds, won the first 2 rounds. All right, and then he got finished. He should be higher than number 8. He should be higher than Uzdemir, Krylov. You know, no disrespect to those guys. He should be higher. That one's a little bit crazy. Yeah, it's media members. It's media members.
Yeah, I know.
And sometimes, you know, you can watch a fight and be a fan, but unless you're really a part of the sport, you don't fully understand it. Yeah, you can watch and say that guy won, that guy lost, you know, but it doesn't really give you the full ability to rank it properly. But still, I don't want to sit here and shit on everyone. You know, I mean, do the best, and we've all got differences of opinions. But Khalil Rountree should be higher than 8.
Yeah, I agree.
And how much do you think? Because Moicano always says on the pod, he always says rankings doesn't even matter, and he doesn't care. Like, do you think rankings like truly matter when they're doing matchmaking? I
mean, we all know that a fighter that can go out there, get a good win streak, build momentum, get some big finishes. We know that, and be popular, you know, with a popular fan-pleasing style and make a statement and knock somebody out like Max Holloway did to Justin Gaethje, right?
Right.
Rankings ain't going to matter. You know, you're going to step up. You're going to probably get a title fight because that's what people want to see. So they do. It's good for the fighter. It's good for our individual confidence. It's nice to see progression going through the rankings. So it is nice for that, I guess. But it's not the be all and end all. It doesn't really matter when it comes down to it. It's something for people to you know, for some journalists to write about and talk about. And it's nice if you're a fighter to see yourself progressing from 15 to 12 to 8. And you're like, mentally, I'm doing it. I'm doing well. Right. All you got to keep doing is win fucking fights. Win fights and you'll get what's coming to you.
And
for sure.
The last one for me, you already have your schedule to the end of the year. You're going to Macau, you're going to those shows, or Abu Dhabi. Where are you going next now with the UFC?
I've got my schedule until May next year.
Wow.
I'm going all over the place. I'm off to Abu Dhabi on Sunday. I get back, I'll be in Vegas. Then I'm home for 2 days, and then I fly to New York. Then I'll be home for 2 days, and I fly to Macau. I'll be in Tampa. Then I'm going to fly to England. I'm going to go see my mom and dad for a bit. Then I'll be in Mexico. I'll be here. I'll be there. I'm bloody all over the place. Yeah. I've got air miles galore. I'm executive platinum with every bloody airline. You know, the jet lag is an absolute bitch. But I'll say this. I said it at the start, and I'll say it again. I'm a very lucky man. I am so grateful for the opportunities. I'm so grateful to Dana White. People say I always like to kiss ass and all the rest of it. It's like, bro, fucking I left school at 16, right? And yeah, I fought my ass off and I worked my ass off, but I still get opportunities with the greatest sport in the world. I'm a fucking happy man.
Yeah, no, and we happy. The whole community are happy with Michael the Count Bisping, the Hall of Fame, bro. So thank you so much. That's it for me, Matt. You got anything else for Bisping?
I got one question. I want to hear your top 5 pound for pound rankings in the UFC.
Oh God, this is going to cause some controversy right now.
If you don't want to answer, you don't have to.
No, I'll do it. I don't care. I'll give an opinion. But I'm sitting here talking shit about, you know, the rankings, and now you're making me give my own. All right, pound for pound number 1, and people aren't going to like this because he hasn't been very active, and you already know what I'm going to say. You can't deny. You can't. Anyone that. Listen, he had a lot of time away from the octagon. We know that. But then he came back and beat Cyril Gane, became the heavyweight champ. And if you look at what he did in his career, it was phenomenal. And I think a lot of people forget that. Islam Makhachev, of course, he's got to be in there. Alex Pereira, you can't deny what this guy's done. It's unreal, man. It's just unbelievable. He's just doing phenomenal things. I love his attitude. I love everything about him, the way that he fights, the style, the excitement that he brings to the octagon, the frequency of his fights. I love the fact as well that he wants to stay in the light heavyweight division because he's got work to do. Wants to fight Magomed Ankalaev or whoever else is next. Who else have we got? Let's have a look. Hold on. So you want 2 more? I mean, you can't forget about Ilia Topuria. I mean, he's the featherweight champ. He's got his hands full next week with Max Holloway, but I think he's going to be in there as well. And then my boy, Tom Aspinall, he's going to be in there as well. I'm telling you, Tom's the man.
I love that one, man. I love that one. I love that one. I lied. I have one last question.
Please.
Do you think Tom Aspinall ever gets the John Jones fight? You think it ever happens?
I think it does. I think it does. I think.
Let's go.
I mean, there's a possibility that Jones retires, and if he does retire, I understand because and this is what he said, and you can't deny it. I think he's been a part of the UFC since 2008. We're in 2024. He doesn't owe it to anybody to stick around and keep fighting everybody because eventually someone's going to come along. But Tom Aspinall is different. He's not any other fighter. And he's also the interim champion of the world. And if Jones gets through Stipe, I think he'll fight him. I think he'll fight him. And I think I got my boy Tom in that one, but hey,
I did too.
Who knows?
Yeah, I think his ego is so big that he's gonna beat Stipe, and he knows if he go there and beat Tom, that's it right now to prove.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna make it just because of his own ego, you know.
I think he's negotiating too. I think if he finishes Stipe and then he retires, the UFC's gonna have to write a big check to make that fight.
And maybe that's what he's doing. But think about it. I mean, all the talk and then Tom defending the interim belt and then Jones and all the narrative and all the bitching online and everyone talking. If those two were to finally meet, I mean, what a fight. And the pay-per-view would be through the roof. I'm jealous because that's going to be a massive fight. So because of the money that's going to be involved in that, I tell you, it will happen.
Let's go.
I agree. So,
boys, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Show me the Moicano next time for crying out loud.
We gotta get you guys together.
We just
Matty Bates,
for you.
Bets, yeah, Bets.
Matty Bates, you take care, brother. Keep up.
Thank you, bro. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Bisping. Appreciate you, brother.
Adios, amigos. Bye bye. Oh no, he didn't.